There we go. Hey, so we are talking about how you can uncomplicate your business. And I want to start off by just having folks share the ways in which their businesses seem complicated to them already. I am thinking back, and you can just drop it in the chat wherever you happen to be watching. I'm just thinking back on when I started my online therapy practice. Everything was brand new. So I was making up a lot of it as I went along, like many of you have, or many of you are doing right now. And I'm going to talk all the way from starting off your practice to having a side hustle that's turned full time hustle. If you're finding parts of your own business feeling like complicated and like your brain is hurting, drop that in the chat because we're going to talk it through right now. So in the beginning, when somebody would reach out to me for a free consultation, my process was to get back in touch with them individually, to kind of go back and forth on the phone or email to get them into my schedule. I forgot to turn on. I'm noticing that right now. Oh no, I have it on one eye, but not the other, and I also have it on my. Have I mentioned that I'm a professional and that I do this for a living? Yeah. Well, we're just going to ignore it. So we would go back and forth and back and forth. And then when I did sign them up for therapy, I would redo the informed consent every time to reflect the price point that I came to with them. So every single person was coming in at a totally different price point. Yeah. Yeah. If that feels familiar to any of you, you just let me know. And then I hired Kim Keller, who you all know and love from the online therapist group, and she helped me get some processes in place so that things could run more streamlined. And what I have found over and over again in all of my businesses is that the more streamlined things can become, the less weight you feel on your shoulders. But there's a trick. So a lot of people won't start until they feel like they have everything kind of laid out and it's clean and they have this particular organizational system that they're going to work through. And at least for me, as a perfectionist, as a recurring perfectionist, that means that I will never actually do the thing. If I am waiting until I have things completely organized, the thing's never going to happen. The other thing that I notice about this is that we can imagine a system for our business, whether it's a therapy practice, a side hustle, coaching, whatever it happens to be. We imagine this process, we create the process, and then we actually run our business. And we find that, like, that doesn't work at all. I'm going to have to totally overhaul that. We had a funny instance of that come up just recently in Canva, of all places. So, Canva is where you can create all sorts of free graphics and things like that. We use it almost daily in my business. And so Chantel had gone in there and she had organized some things in the way that worked for her brain and made sense for her role in the business. And then I went in there looking for some stuff and I couldn't find anything because my role is totally different. And the work that I do comes at it from an entirely different angle from the work that she does. So I had to go in and like organize a different section in the Amber way of doing things so that I could find stuff. So tell me in the chat, I'm going to pull up the chat here, where you find your business feeling heavy or complicated or cumbersome. Sometimes it's in our therapy notes and trying to get our therapy notes to get done or get started. We've got some systems in place that have really helped me in terms of getting that done. Sometimes it's in things like in the marketing intensive right now, we're working on creating a really streamlined method to marketing to private pay clients. And part of that involves making a piece of long form content, like a blog, and then using that blog to create all of the short form content that you need for an entire quarter. So, all the social media posts, all of that kind of stuff. And coming up with a process that works for each individual's brain so that it can be really easy and they can spend 2 hours making social media posts that last them for the quarter. They're put into a system, they're on repeat. You don't have to mess with them ever again. And they're actually doing work for your business instead of just being busy work for you. So I'm going to click over to the YouTube channel and to Facebook to see if I can see any comments over there because they're not coming through on my system here. And sometimes it's reverbing in my ear. Sometimes that's because you haven't left one yet. And sometimes that is because they only come through on my side when you click that link that I shared with you in the description. The more you tell me about, hey, I'm sitting here finishing notes and took a breather and saw this. Isn't that so funny? Let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah. So this morning, one of the things really helps in my process of getting things done. You'll see behind me, this is my Kanban board. I just started working on it again this morning. Over here, I have like my master plan on a big cork board. I wish I could show it to you, but it would be a big pain in the butt. Because I'm a very visual learner, and just writing it or having it in tech doesn't work for me. When stress is low and the number of things that I need to do is fairly low and manageable, I can use tech organizational systems. But when there's a lot happening at the same time, there's multiple projects being juggled, I have to be able to see it in a big way to have it organized in my brain. I have to write it down. So I'm curious for you, what are some of the systems at work that uncomplicate your life? And I was going to share with you one of the things that really helps me to get into flow in the mornings. Every time Sarah Cannon, Sarra, Cannon, releases a video. Now, she's an author. She's not a therapist. She's an author, but she releases these like planning related videos. Every time she releases a new one, I get out all my planning supplies and sit down because I know she's going to say the things that activate my brain to get me into that mode so I can do my big picture planning and uncomplicate my life. How many of you have a ton of things that you want to do, but you're having trouble actually making the needle move on those things? Life gets in the way, exhaustion gets in the way, the bajillion more urgent but really not important things get in the way. If that's you, let me know. And some of the things that I do to work around that is I really try to think through every single week, okay, what are the things that really, really matter to me? Connection to my family and friends. That's an every week item that has to be marked off on my list. So it might be that that week I talk on the phone with my mom or I have a video call with my two best friends. That's a thing that matters and it counts as a needle mover for me. So that goes on my list, right? I'm investing in these relationships. This is not maintenance. This is the investment in the thing that matter. And then I think about from a business point of view, my other piece is providing like highest level service that I possibly can from the people who are in my programs. So that's always on the list. What am I doing that week that is hitting that goal? So it might be just showing up in the step by step program or in the marketing intensive or in individual coaching and just being fully present. It might be, so there's always a third thing, working on the business. So instead of in the business where you're delivering services to your clients or your coachees or your course members, working on the business and on the strategy of the business. It's one of my very favorite things to do. And things like that for me right now include preparing for this next launch of the Martensive, which is the launches are so much more work than actually doing the intensive. It's just a very heavy lift and really complicated because the business has grown so much that there are a lot of moving pieces. So in order to prepare something like that, there are so many moving pieces that without having things laid out visually, I'm going to end up getting in the weeds and spinning my wheels on things that really don't matter. For example, messing around with the graphics of a slide deck. Y'all, People don't care about the graphics of the slide deck. They want the information so that they can change their lives. So spending 4 hours screwing around with trying to make something pretty, at least for my audience, isn't nearly as effective as making sure my messaging is tight and that people are going to be able to understand what I'm trying to share with them, and they're going to be able to take action on it, that they feel inspired and they feel capable of taking action. If I can get those two things done, whether the slide looks amazing or not becomes irrelevant. So, for you, where is it that you're losing time in your business to complicating stuff that really ultimately doesn't matter a whole lot? If you've been in my world very long at all, you have heard me talk about the 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle. And the idea behind that, if you haven't heard of it, is that 20% of your effort yields 80% of your results. So here's a good example. I had a student in the marketing intensive recently ask me, we have one-on-one Voxer coaching. And she recently asked me if she should, I can't remember what the thing was. It would make for a better story if I did. Oh, yeah. Oy vey. I can't remember. It was I'll make up a good example for you. So, she has her website. It's mostly done, but she was wondering if she should wait to publish it until she got better headshots, until she had done all the SEOifying that I teach in the course, because she wanted to make sure that if people landed on the page, the headshots looked great and were gonna convert, and that people were actually gonna land on the page by using the SEO tips that we talked through. And I was like, "No, no, no. Publish that page. We are improving it over time." But so long as those pictures aren't a complete turn off to your ideal client, just get the freaking thing published, because you've already done the 20% of the effort that's going to get you 80% of the results. And SEOifying it is going to incrementally move that needle up for sure. But getting it out there is the most important thing that you could possibly do right now, especially because she's learning relationship marketing, which is driving traffic directly to her website. So we don't even have to wait on SEO to kick in, because that's a longer term game. So she could be getting traffic there right now, right? So 20% of your effort giving you 80% of the results means that 80% of the stuff that you do is only making 20% difference in the outcome. Only 20%. So, really pay attention to what you're prioritizing. Many times, we are prioritizing doing things that really don't significantly matter. Most all are high achievers. And when you were in school, my guess is you probably got A's. And you probably worked your buns off to get really good grades. And there's a disturbing thing that you may have learned, which is um, you could give a lot less effort and still get the A. If there were letters beyond the A, you would have been getting the A plus times 10. But because those don't exist, you didn't know how far you were achieving beyond the metric. And you could have dialed it back. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't value in learning. Please don't mishear me. I am saying that sometimes we are going so far above and beyond, and we have no clue how much we could dial back our efforts and get the same freaking results and use those efforts somewhere else. Now, let's talk about that. Do you have somewhere else you would like to put some time and energy? My guess is you do, right? Either you want more time with your family, you want more time to lay in the hammock outside, which is where I'm heading right after this, to read your book. You want more time to, I'm in Florida, so like get in the pool comes to mind for me, but it might be anything. It might be writing a book. It might be starting a side hustle. It might be all these dreams that you've had that you feel like you don't have time for. My friend, if you get efficient and you pull back on, I'm not going to say 80% because y'all are not going to listen to me, but you pull back a lot on some of the places you're putting too much energy, and you focus on that 20% of the effort that moves the needle. If you focus on that, you're going to get the 80% of the results anyway. And then you've got all that extra energy, extra time to put into the places that also matter to you, that haven't been getting your energy. I'm thinking about all of this because there's a podcast coming out on Sunday that I did with Patrick Casale. And we talked a lot about business and entrepreneurship and pivoting and adjusting and what is success really anyway. And that led me to wanting to write an email to you about it, which led me to saying it would be so much easier just to get on video and talk to you instead of writing out an email. And I want to point out to you how that 80-20 rule is showing up right this minute, right? Notice that I'm still in my pajama t-shirt. I put on my sunscreen and I did my makeup on one eye before I forgot to do it on the other eye. And I got in front of the video, right? Wouldn't you think, like, Amber, you're going to be on a video on YouTube and Facebook and all the places, like, you should probably do your makeup and put on some real clothes and check that you've evenly done your makeup, like, write a script, have some post-its. No, no. My goal with YouTube this year is just to make myself get on it. That is my primary goal because I know that if I can get myself on YouTube, I'm going to get used to being on YouTube and then it's going to get better and better and better. And the only way I know how to get on here is to share messages that I think will be helpful for you. So, if I had instead said to myself, Amber, you need a script, you need to have fancy clothes on, you need to do your makeup, you need to do something with your hair, right? If I had done all of that, I probably wouldn't have even made the video, truth be told. Right? I know many of you relate to the perfectionistic procrastinator, that it ultimately doesn't get done because you have an idea, a standard about how it should be, and then you can't live up to it. So you just don't do it at all, right? But the other piece is, let's say that I had done all of those things. I wrote a script, I put on the makeup, I did my hair, blah, 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 all of that stuff. And then I made the video. And the video might have been better, right? Could have been more concise. The video could have been better, but it would only be a modicum better. And I would have missed out on going outside, laying in my hammock with a book because I would have spent at least another hour, minimally another hour, probably two, trying to get this just right. Which sounds like a better deal to you, right? Make the video be helpful. Doesn't need to be perfect to be helpful. And then get outside and enjoy the day. So, drop in the chat how you are finding two things here. I want you to drop in the chat how you are finding ways to uncomplicate your business and or ways that you're finding your business to be too complicated, too cumbersome. I'm going to give you one more example. I was talking to another coaching client who is doing lots of things business wise outside of therapy. So, getting on stages and presenting, working on a book. I'm not going to give hyper details, I'm going to keep it generic. Pitching for some really, really big time deals, right? She's doing a lot. All of these things are serving different audiences, which makes the workload astronomically higher. It's astronomically higher. I couldn't explain it to you in just this video, but like, if you can have a single audience, even if they're at different stages of development, man, your life is going to be a lot easier. So when we think about like, all right, if we take this business model, it feels heavy and complicated because all of the work you're having to do, from writing an email sequence, getting clear about your ideal client, your client avatar, writing your sales page and having the copy for that, creating products that speak directly to their pain points and hope points, getting clear about how to write the bridge to show them how you're going to help them. When you think about having to do all that for one audience, it's very easy if you have 40 different products because it's all the same copy. You're just moving it around, right? When you have 5, 10 products and they're all for different audiences, you're having to duplicate that work for every single audience, every single freaking one. That's a lot of work, right? So we could uncomplicate that business by choosing the products that serve one or two audiences and letting go of the rest. And you will make astronomically more money and have a lot more time as well. So let me know some of the ways that your business is feeling complicated. Therapy practice, side hustle, coaching business, it does not matter. let me know and we will talk it through in the comments. And I hope that this has been helpful for you and a little inspirational too. I hope that you